two guys and a gal, talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies. And you know, they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal, talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies. And we know they are really groovy.
Good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to another edition of Two Guys and a Gal talking about movies. And tonight we have none other than the iconic Clint Eastwood. You know him, you love him. When you think of him, you think of that. The guys are going to come up and sort of talk about the Clint squint. And when you think about Westerns, you think about Clint Eastwood. So let's get right into it. We got someone here who looks a little bit... What's going on here? Is this Rory or is it Clint? I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. I'm confused. We were talking about that earlier. The squint is a confused look. No, it's not. I'm just angry.
What is he's just angry all the time because he's a badass, right? I mean, that's kind of his brand.
He has to look angry.
Kick your ass.
You feel lucky.
What is that hat about?
This is actually my my Lee Van Cleef hat.
But it looks identical. It's the same hat. Look at that.
That's actually kind of a brown leather hat.
But it's so
Lee Van
similar.
He wore a black hat like this one.
Right. But it's very, very, very similar. I love it. I'm so happy that we get to do this because he's, of course, a cultural icon. Everybody knows and loves Clint. I mean, his political stances on things have got him into some controversies. I remember he did the thing with the empty chair, and he was arguing with the empty chair. And he was the mayor.
Obama was in that chair.
Carmel on the Sea, I think. Was it Carmel on the Sea? He was mayor for a long time over there. But come on. When you think of badassery, you think of Clint Eastwood, and you think about someone squinting. And we even did on the Monster Show, General Howitzer's Big Monster Briefing Room. Right, we actually did Tarantula. His first movies, even uncredited, and you could still see what he's doing here. This is
the squint. You could see, his face was covered, but you could still see his eyes.
You could still see that. That's
what he was. Voice.
Yep, you can tell.
Those were his first movies, the ones for Universal. He was in Revenge of the Creature or The Creature Walks Among Us.
No, Revenge of the Creature.
It was Revenge of the Creature, and then he was the pilot that kills the tarantula at the end of Tarantula.
I'm gonna bomb the hell out of this spider. Yeah,
just get the spider. You guys were talking right before we went on, and I told you guys you were being way too entertaining. Do that. Do the shtick. Do what you guys were doing.
Well, again, we were just talking about how long can you hold this.
That's right.
How long can you squint like this?
Squint is. It's just my face. I don't understand people talking about the squint.
The Clint squint.
The sun is always in my eyes.
But
rolling. Keep them doggies rolling.
Let's not talk about Roland.
Did somebody say Roland? I feel like
he was singing it. I don't
defend his honor. Okay.
Hey, man.
You guys have to tune into the Big Monster Briefing Room if you guys want to know what they're referring to, or to Painting with Rory. Sometimes Roland has a special guest spot there.
Cameo.
Most people at the Cosmos know Roland.
People know who Roland is. I think that he has some BDE going on. But anyways, I digress. Thank you, Pan. Pan has shared this into her group. Thank you. Everyone should also be following Pan on the Pan It Stream channel. Thank you so much, Pan. We adore you. And she, of course, runs the improv show that Rory and Manny were recently a part of with CJ and John and Troy. Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Troy was a natural.
Troy is
Troy won the evening. I mean, he had me in stitches back in the back room, in the green room or whatever.
I feel like Troy wins wherever Troy is and whatever. Like if he just walks in the door, they should just give him a trophy. It doesn't matter if it's a swimming competition. It could be a hot dog eating competition. It could be a memorization competition, calculus. I don't care what it is. He walks in, they just give him the medal and he just keeps going.
Because he's got tiger blood.
He's got tiger blood. That's what it is. Okay, just like this guy, right? So, okay, all right, let's get started. What is your number one, Manny?
Actually, why don't I let Rory go first this time?
Oh, one of the things we talked about before the show, before we get started here, was that Clint did a 60 Minutes interview. This wasn't long ago. This was maybe 10, 12 years ago. And the guy who was reviewing him, it's not one of the normal guys like Morley Safer and Dan Rather. It was one of the newer guys. And he asked him about his children, how many children he has, with different women. And Clint did the squint on him. He was like, like, what did you just ask me? And he goes, you're doing the face now. You're doing the squint now. Yeah, see, you're doing it now. That guy's lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
Do you feel lucky, punk? All right, so you want me to go first with my number one?
Go first, man.
Unforgiven. Here's the thing. I think he did this film, or he started to do this film, as parody to his Western movies from before. Because he's going through the movie, I'm not like that anymore. He's doing that kind of stuff, and he gets to the end, and he's like, "If you try to shoot me, I'll kill you. I'll kill your wife. I'll kill all your friends." I think it was actually meant to be kind of dark comedy, but then when he watched the dailies on it, he was like, "This is really serious stuff." And what he did was he probably went back and shot all the reaction shots, which are very dramatic. The reaction shots on the scenes really pull out the drama in that, especially at the end. And Unforgiven, again, not many Westerns win Academy Awards, and Clint definitely did a fantastic job directing that and starring in that. And that was his last greatest film in my estimation.
Yeah. And such a great supporting cast. Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman at his
Hackman.
most evil.
He plays
Richard
a great
Harris. Richard Harris is in it.
Yes.
English Bob gets the tar beat out of him. You're all savages. You're savages. Just great performances all the way around. I don't remember the young actor who plays the kid in the movie, but he was terrific as well.
Morgan Freeman, of course.
And Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman, yeah. I didn't think much about.
But
well, Money, when I first saw him.
Yeah.
That's right. His name was Will Money.
Will Money, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely he's playing almost against type, because all the other Westerns he's ever made.
Yes.
He's the hero, he's the guy, he's the man, and this one, he's kind of the older, it really looking at this genre and the heroes in it, and saying, hey, even these guys age.
Yeah.
Their eyesight goes, everything goes, he got married, settled down, has a couple of kids, and then he's trying to get his gun thing back, and he winds up having to use a shotgun because he can't hit the targets anymore, and he keeps falling off his horse several times. It's just like, yeah, the man with no name got old, and now he's like he says, he's not the same man anymore. Of course, he means that he's not the killer, he's not the the violent man that he used to be, but I think he's also talking about just Western characters in general, and his characters in particular, that that time is gone. That era is gone now. And
yeah, this was the last real big Western I think they made a movie of. I mean, the genre had tapered out in the early 70s, the early to mid 70s, and it was just they'd done so much. It's what's happening with superhero movies now. There's just so many of them now. You just get tired of them. You don't want to see them anymore.
Yeah, and movies, television, lots of Westerns on TV as well, and it's just after a while it's like, oh, another Western. How many stories can you tell?
One of the ones we're not going to talk about tonight is Pale Rider. which I thought was just not good.
Yeah.
Even though he was in it, it's just no. So, yeah, Unforgiven is definitely him using what Sergio Leone taught him, in the 60s. One of the best directors as far as that genre is concerned.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my number one. I mean, he had to talk Gene Hackman into doing it because
Really?
Hackman had already played a villain, in
Quick and the Dead.
Quick and the Dead.
Yeah. But
he didn't want to repeat himself.
Yeah, no, but this character that he plays in Unforgiven, I think is even more cruel and worse than the character he played in Quick and the Dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, he's good.
But Hackman's just I think very underrated as far as an actor is concerned. Alrighty.
Rubenek as the the reporter that
that's right.
just gets under your skin like a gnat.
Yeah.
Like a mosquito.
Yeah.
So which one did you shoot first?
Yeah.
I know I'm going to shoot next. All right, what's your number one?
All right, so my number one is, as it happens, also a Western, but it's actually going back to A Fistful of Dollars.
Okay.
And in fact, to be honest, it's a tie. Fistful of the whole trilogy, I think, was really good. The Sergio Leone.
I was gonna almost do the same thing. I watched them last night again. I sped through them actually.
Yeah.
To remind myself, because they're very similar.
Yeah.
They changed them, but they're still kind of similar. And I thought that was going to be higher on my list, A Fistful of Dollars. But as it turns out, I think the best one in the trilogy is For a Few Dollars More, because they added Lee Van Cleef.
Yeah.
And his character is actually a very noble, he's the good in that one.
Right.
And it becomes increasingly more so through the film. He becomes a better person, or a person to root for. By the end of the movie, you're really rooting for Lee Van Cleef.
Yeah. And then all that changes with Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Yeah, and the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He's just a villain. He's just nasty.
Yeah.
I thought
he has the same hat.
Yes. I thought that the villain for the first two movies, I can't remember his name now. It's not Klaus Maria Brander, but Maria's the middle name.
Yeah.
I thought he was in all three, but he's actually not in the third one. He's not in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Yeah.
Because they put in Eli Wallach as Tuco.
Yeah.
And Lee Van Cleef becomes the villain.
Yeah.
It's the longer of the three movies. But again, I think in the trilogy, it's probably my second favorite, because you've got Lee Van Cleef and you've got Eli Wallach, who's really good in it.
And one of the best themes.
Hey, Blondie! Hey, Blondie!
Hey, Blondie!
The old guy calls him Joe. He's the man with no name in those, but he calls him Joe in the first one, and they actually call him by name in the second one. In one scene where he's talking to one of the sheriffs is talking to Lee Van Cleef, and I can't remember the name. It's like Mavis or Mavic or something like that. But it's just one time they call him that.
Yeah.
And they're both bounty hunters.
Right. Yeah.
So Fistful of Dollars is your favorite because I want to hear this.
Okay. It's well, to be honest, because this is one of the first films that I saw Clint Eastwood in.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Not when it came out, because I was way too young. But later on. And
that was the year I was born. So but it made so much money that they followed up with one every year of the next 2 years. 65 and then 66.
Right. Yeah. Well, this was actually it was one of his early movie roles. Uh, he'd been doing television for a long time. Of course,
Right.
he did some of the. We talked about some of the B Universal Pictures. There was just little small roles that he played. He
He
hadn't really played a major role. Of
yeah.
course, everybody knows.
He got cast in this because, or these films because of Rawhide, because he played
Right,
Rowdy Yates
exactly. I
on
was just about to say,
Rawhide.
yeah, he played
Yeah.
Rowdy Yates on Rawhide. But he wanted to do movies,
Hmm.
but he wasn't getting much work in Hollywood, so he went to Italy and got hired and by Sergio Leone, and the rest is history. And so, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. The Unforgiven was was actually my number one for a long time.
Hmm.
But and I love this movie. I mean, yeah, it's a terrific movie. But I really had to go back to the beginning, to the origins of that. To when his cowboy character was at his best. I mean, he's done a lot of other westerns. A lot of them really kind of forgettable. You talked about Pale Rider,
Right.
uh, and Joe Kidd and things like that. And it's
Hang
just,
'em high.
what
Hang 'em high.
Hang 'em High, all that, which basically Pale Rider was a remake of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of churning them out. But
But some of them were actually very good, though,
yeah, no,
which
some of them were
we'll
good.
talk about later.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, I'm gonna bring up a couple that I think were
But
really
yeah,
good.
like you said, you watch something like Joe Kidd is a good example, which looks like a TV movie.
Yeah, exactly,
And even
exactly.
though it's got like, um, Robert Duvall in it, you
Hmm.
know, it Eastwood has to basically carry the whole film, and
Right, right, exactly.
it's
Yeah,
it's just so.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
anything to write home about, unfortunately.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's why I didn't. Um,
John Saxon as a Mexican.
yeah, yeah. Um, and actually, Eastwood, if I remember correctly, if I he had a little falling out with Sergio Leone.
Oh,
Uh,
I never heard that.
yeah, I think I heard in one of the commentary tracks on the movie.
But
He because he was working all the crew. Leone himself didn't really speak, English very well
right.
or at all, and so he had to keep having everything translated, and Eastwood was just getting more and more frustrated,
Mm.
having to deal with all that, and plus the shoot
Well,
for Good, Bad, the Ugly was just taking forever because
yeah.
it was just so epic in scale that when he came
Well,
back, he
thanks to
said,
those movies, he was getting looked at in Hollywood, and
right, yeah,
they
exactly,
cast him in some war movies, with
yeah,
where Eagles Dare with Richard Burton, and
yeah, yeah,
Kelly's Heroes. And he was starting to get work in America after those movies became so
right. So it's like,
successful.
I don't need this anymore.
So
Yeah,
it makes sense because that your story because again Leone was started using he used Charles Bronson
hmm,
for Once Upon a Time in the West, which is his greatest western of all time.
oh
It's
yeah, and
my
and
God,
and
that movie's so
and
good.
Henry Fonda
Henry Fonda
as
is
a
the villain.
villain, playing a villain,
Just a
and
nasty villain too.
right,
A
yeah,
really nasty villain.
yeah. But yeah, that is, I'd say, his masterpiece.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and Eastwood would have been in that one, but like I said, after the relationship between them had soured to such a
Mhm.
point that it just
Well,
wasn't
like you
going to
said,
happen.
he wanted to work in America, and
And he wanted
he
to work
was
in America.
again,
Yes, yes,
and he started getting the work in
yeah,
America that he had wanted,
yeah,
and eventually that led to 1971 and Dirty Harry, and the rest is
right,
history.
yeah.
Whole thing
Okay,
from the '70s.
so what's your number two?
My number two is Dirty Harry,
Oh, okay,
the original
yeah,
Dirty Harry.
yes,
Um, and actually, a lot of that goes to Andy Robinson, who unfortunately
Yes.
typecast himself terribly throughout his career because he did such a good job playing Scorpio in that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. What a performance.
Mm-hmm.
He is such a slimy, sleazy villain. You
Yeah.
just hate him. And the movie is just really written very well.
Mm-hmm.
Magnum Force is a good movie too. It's a good
Yeah.
solid picture as well. That's his second Dirty Harry film.
Right.
It
Yeah.
had a really good cast as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my number 5 on my list is
The
Magnum Force.
the late
We
David
forgot to
Soul.
mention one of the things that makes the Sergio Leone pictures so good is Ennio Morricone's
Yeah.
soundtracks. You
Mhm.
mentioned the Good, the Bad, the Ugly theme, which everybody everybody recognizes that.
Yeah.
But I like the other. I mean, the other themes, that
Oh.
are in the other movies are fantastic
Oh
as well.
yeah.
And we
Oh
get a
yeah.
little
It's
bit of
not.
that Good, the Bad,
It's
the
not.
Ugly theme at the end of, which I didn't even realize until I watched it last night. At the end of for a few dollars more, you get a little bit of that. Not the ooh, not that part, but the other part of it. Down,
Mhm.
down, 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 down. That's actually happening at the end when he's loading up the wagon with all the bodies,
Mhm.
and he swings by
Yeah.
the tree to pick up the money, the bank money,
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
which we totally forget as an audience. That he threw the bag up in the tree with the bank money in it, which
Yeah.
is a great twist or a great little add-on at the end. Um, uh, but yeah, the soundtracks to these movies, and later with the Dirty Harry films, you had Lalo Schifrin who did the Mission Impossible music, and
Mhm.
he says, "Oh my God, the soundtrack for Dirty Harry is just off the chain. It's great."
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
again with Magnum Force as well. Excuse me.
Yeah. 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 The sequels. Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you. My number two was also is Dirty Harry. So, uh,
2 thumbs up.
yeah. And for a while it was actually my number one, but then I
Yeah.
just I just switched it. But Dirty Harry, yeah, the beginning of uh, it starts off with Scorpio sniping the woman in the swimming pool and all that. Right off the bat, we've got this like, oh my God, what's going on? And yeah, Andy Robinson or Andrew
Poor guy.
Robinson as became.
Yeah, Andrew Robinson, I should say.
Yeah, and a little trivia for the Star Trek fans in the audience. He had a recurring role on Deep Space Nine
Mm.
as the Cardassian tailor and possible spy. So yeah, just but
He was also in Hellraiser.
and oh, that's right. He was in Hellraiser. Yeah,
He opens the box.
that's right. He opens the box later on. Oh yeah, he's been in a lot of movies, but this one was one of his earliest one, if not his first one. But also the rest of the cast is really good as well.
Yeah.
Harry Gardino and John Larch, who shows up in another movie that I'm going to talk about. Um, and oh, I forget his partner's name, who surprisingly survives. I thought he was going to get killed. But it was heavily implied that he was not going to make it to the end of the movie
Right.
because his other partners ended up being one's dead, one's in the hospital, and all this stuff. He doesn't have
Right.
very good luck. And that kind of became a recurring theme in a lot of all the sequels of him
Yeah.
getting saddled with different kinds of partners.
Right.
Even I think
Tyne Daly
Tyne
is
Daly,
his
yeah,
partner, a female partner in The Enforcer.
right,
Probably my
exactly.
least favorite Dirty Harry movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
They got worse as they went along. They were not.
Even Kim is in the Deadpool as
Mhm.
his Asian sidekick.
Right, yeah.
I'm trying to look up the character, you're the actor you're talking about, because he's done a lot.
Yeah, it's Pete something. It's like an Italian last name that was playing a Hispanic. Um,
Oh, Reno Santoni.
Reno,
Rini Santoni.
Rennie Santoni. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I got Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was good. I mean, for what little he actually did, he was good. But yeah, definitely the star is Eastwood and Robinson. I
That's
mean, they were
right.
the ones who really, and of course to get the line that
Andy Robinson. No. Don't pass out now. No. You're going to die.
exactly
Just off the chain.
exactly
Off the chain.
great
Dana
stuff.
Gould used to do a great bit about that. A girl goes on a date and all of a sudden he turns into Scorpio from Dirty Harry.
Yeah. And I was looking at the credits, and he's just credited as the killer. Not Scorpio. It's just the killer. Okay. Yeah. But oh man, when he hijacks the bus and he has the kid singing "Row, row, row your boat" like over and over and over, I'm like, oh,
He's
I'll
yelling
never
at
hear
him.
that song again. Just nuts, completely nuts. But yeah, good movie. All right. So you're number 3.
My number 3 is For a Few Dollars More, which we already
okay.
talked about.
Okay.
Again, because again, it's part of the trilogy, and it's got all the. I think it's got all the right things in it. And again, I just love Lee Van Cleef's character in that, the Colonel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how when you get away from those for a while, you kind of go, okay, this scene must have been in this one, and this scene must have been in this one, and then you watch them again, you're, oh no, that's not the end of Good, the Bad, the Ugly. That's the end of For a Few Dollars More. Wait a minute.
Yeah, you get that Mandela effect going.
So yeah, I kind of rejogged my memory on where everything went in those pictures. And it was, again, every couple of years I'll go back and I'll watch them again because I just like them. They're just great films.
Yeah.
Leone really, really knew how to shoot, really intense Western. I mean, Klaus Kinski is in the second one as a hunchback.
Yeah. And talk about unhinged. That was another very unhinged character. Yeah.
And he lights his match on his hump. Cleve and Cleve. He was smoking a pipe.
Okay.
He's twitching. His face is just twitching. Klaus Kinski had a good face twitch.
Yeah. That's an oddball character. Just anyway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Your number 3.
My number 3. So long before Glenn Close boiled Ann Archer's bunny, there was Play Misty for Me.
Okay. All right. That was his first. He directed that. That was his first director's job, right?
Yeah.
I think
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I rewatched it recently for preparing for the show because I hadn't seen it in a while and I wanted to refresh my memories. Like, is this really as good as I thought it was? Yeah, it is. I think it is. And again, it's one of the movies where Eastwood plays something other than a cop or a cowboy.
Right.
He plays a radio DJ of all places, Carmel by the Sea. And Jessica Walter, who fans of Arrested Development will remember her as Mrs. Bluth. And she passed away not too long ago, a few years ago. She plays this woman who is just completely nuts. She stalks she stalks Eastwood's character, who's did I say he was a DJ? He was a DJ
Yes.
for this jazz station, and she calls him up every now and again. She requests this particular song, Misty, hence the title, and she arranges this seemingly random meeting with him. He meets her in a bar, and of course he takes her home and has a little fling with her. Uh, Even though he wants to get back together with his old girlfriend, played by Donna Mills, young Donna Mills.
Mm.
And but this other woman, she just won't go away. She really thinks that she's just obsessed with him and thinks that he's in love with her because he's played this record, and eventually she just turns full on psycho and tries to kill him and all this stuff. And it's just a really intense little thriller, and like I said, it predates Fatal Attraction by years. And
Right.
honestly, I think it's the better movie of the two. I think it's the better
Yeah.
one as far as that kind of psycho stalker,
Right.
consequences of one night stands kind of thing. Uh, and and again, like I said, Eastwood carries the movie. He's really good, and again, he's playing a little bit against type, but he's still. I was going to say earlier, Eastwood. If we're going to be honest, Eastwood doesn't really have a lot of range as far as his acting is concerned. I mean, he's got the squint, he's got the growl, and that's about it. But you don't care. I mean, you still believe that, yeah, he's a DJ. Sure. Well,
He's
why
not
not?
a character actor.
He's
He
not a
just
character
what he
actor.
plays is variations of Clint. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. And yet we still buy it. We still buy it.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, well, that's Clint. Because the
Well, except for
scripts.
Foxfire.
eh, yeah, again, yeah, that didn't make my list. But um, so yeah, and this is one of those few ones where okay, it's Clint Eastwood, but still, the script is so good, it's so tight.
Or Firefox. Sorry, I said
He
Foxfire, didn't I? Firefox.
Firefox, yeah. But again, just like Andy Robinson, with his psycho character in Dirty Harry, Jessica Walter plays it so beautifully, that you don't really suspect. You don't suspect her at first.
Mm.
There's something a little bit off about her, but it's like, okay. But you start getting all these little red flags, or actually major red flags as the movie goes along, and you start realizing, oh my God, there's something seriously wrong with this woman, and it just makes for a really tense, interesting movie. So for his first effort, I think he did a really, really good job directing that movie. So, and it's just a good story. Oh, and like I said, John Large also plays another. He plays a police detective in that one, kind of like he played the chief in Dirty Harry.
No.
And he gets a little bit of a psycho treatment. I don't want to give it away, but I don't want to spoil it. But anyway, it's a good movie if you haven't seen it, and it's one of those movies that I think people kind of forgot that he was in, or it's not one of his better known movies. So that's my number 3.
That was your number 3. My number 4 was Outlaw Josie Wales.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. It's a different kind of Western.
Mm-hmm.
It's more kind of a more relaxed Western character for Eastwood. And Chief Dan George plays his sidekick in it, and he's just great. I mean, he did Little Big Man.
Right, yeah.
He plays the father in Little Big Man, and he's just great. I just love everything he's in. So, and again, a lot of Eastwood's favorite character actors that he uses in most of his movies are somewhere in there. He does use a lot of the same people. I mean, right down to Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey got a part in the Deadpool, and then right after that, he got a
That's right.
part as a stand-up comic in Pink Cadillac.
Right.
So
That's right. I forgot. Yeah. Yeah. Jim Carrey. Yeah.
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 So but he wasn't being paid $20 million.
Yeah. It wasn't quite the name yet.
So yeah, Outlaw Josie Wells is
Outlaw
is a
Josie
is
Wells.
a fun western. There's a lot of
Yeah.
dark comedy in it, and it's a fun western, and that's
Yeah.
number 4 on my list.
Cool. Yeah. And like you said, yeah, it does a lot of different, a lot of the same actors in a lot of the different movies. I think John Vernon plays the villain in that
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
Who he was the mayor in Dirty Harry. So yeah, a lot of repeating characters, or not characters, but a lot of repeating actors. Wasn't there drama with Sandra Locke? Yeah, yeah. There was a little bit of drama there.
I haven't seen it in a while. She is in that, right? In Josie Wales?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She's in
I
Josie
know she
Wales.
became his girlfriend, and then she started getting huge roles in his films, like The Gauntlet, and Billy Bronco Billy.
Bronco Billy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and she was in Sudden Impact, the Dirty
Mhm.
Harry film that came after
Right.
Enforcer. After
Yeah.
many years, they decided to bring him back, and the only
Yeah.
good thing that came out of that film was him saying, "Go ahead, make my day."
Wasn't that in Magnum Force though? Wasn't that in? I thought that was in the second movie.
Nope,
No. Oh, okay. Well,
no, that was in Sudden Impact.
Sudden Impact. Oh,
he,
okay.
he has a couple of good lines in that. Like there's a punk who says, "Hey, Dirty," that gets off the hook or something, and in the elevator, he's taunting Dirty Harry, and Dirty Harry grabs me and goes, "Look, the dog's gonna shit you." And he has some line about the dog shits you. You know, be careful where the dog shits you. Uh, and his new boss is like, "Do you realize who I am? Do you realize my background?" And he goes, "Yeah, you're a legend in your own mind," which is another good one. But "Go ahead, make my day" became his like signature Dirty Harry line.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah,
from that
yeah.
film.
Okay.
By the way, there is a black actor who plays the gangster or I'm sorry, the bank robber in the first one, Dirty Harry, that
Mhm.
he gives the famous speech to. I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or did he only fire 5?
Yeah.
Well, actually, in all this confusion, I lost count myself. And being that this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and can blow your head clean off. You got to ask yourself a question: do I feel lucky?
Well, do
And
ya?
he's also the prostitute or the pimp in Magnum Force who gets shot in his car, and then he plays his
Okay.
friend Horace in Sudden. He's in most of them somewhere. He's actually in Enforcer as well. The only one he's not in is the Deadpool. For some reason, he
Mm,
couldn't do it.
okay.
So, but yeah, he likes to use a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull up some names here of people that he uses on a regular basis. That's not coming up. Okay, maybe if I put Outlaw Josie, there we go.
There you go.
Okay, yeah, I was spelling Josie Wales wrong. Sorry. Yeah, Sandra Locke's in it. Chief Dan George, Bill McKinney. Bill McKinney is in a lot of his stuff.
Huh?
He was in the Every Which Way But Lose, any which way you can. He was one of the bikers in that. He's also the guy with the hook hand in Bronco Billy. It's in his circus.
Yeah.
And he plays a good villain. I realized Sam Bottoms was in that, and Sam Bottoms is also in Bronco Billy.
Right.
So yeah. So those are the ones that come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
All right, William O'Connell. Yeah, he plays one of the bikers in, Every Which Way You Can, Any Which Way You Can, Every Which Way But Loose. Those terrible, terrible movies with the orangutan. They're not on my list. And Ruth Gordon cussing for the sake of cussing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there was.
Jeffrey Lewis is in a lot of his stuff. Jeffrey Lewis is
Oh
the
yeah,
main
yeah,
villain in High Plains Drifter. He's also in Bronco Billy. He's
yeah.
he's his brother in the Every Which Way But Loose, Any Which Way You Can. So he's in a lot of his stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Great actor.
Yeah. Good. Very good character actor. Yeah.
Okay, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Kelly's Heroes.
Okay.
One of his war movies. It's also a comedy.
Yeah.
But it never forgets that it's a war movie. And what's and I mean, he did a lot of really good war movies as well. You know, you mentioned Where Eagles Dare,
Yeah.
but and but this is just one of my favorites. And
It's a good movie. It didn't make my list because I don't know, I just felt like he was just there. You know, I mean, you had Don Rickles over here, you had Donald Sutherland over there, you know. So I just didn't feel his presence as much.
yeah, well, it is. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's a great ensemble cast, and it is very much an ensemble movie.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, Telly Savalas, Don
Right.
Rickles, Donald Sutherland is actually probably my favorite character in the whole movie. And even little bits, Stuart Margolin is another great character actor.
Yeah.
Gavin MacLeod, before he became Captain Stubing, you know, and some great German actors as well. And yeah, Eastwood, his character isn't as prominent, but he's sort of the main instigator of the plot. And
He is the leader of the troop.
and he is the leader of the troop. For people who may not seen this movie, he leads basically this little platoon of men on this mission to liberate some some German gold from this bank. Not for the army, for themselves. They're just in it for
Yeah.
themselves. And so he convinces all these men to go on this mission. And Donald Sutherland plays the tank commander of these Sherman tanks, who is just out there. Stop it! Why are you hitting me with these negative waves? Why are you hitting me with the negative waves, man? Just great, and Don Rickles, and yeah, it's a little over the top, but what's interesting about this movie, and
Hippie tank operator. Yeah.
the hippie tank opera, yeah, is
back in the 40s.
yeah. Sure.
Why not?
The director of this movie, of Kelly's Heroes, is a guy named Brian Hutton. And Brian Hutton was also an actor. And he starred in an episode of Rawhide with Clint Eastwood back in the 60s. He also then directed Where Eagles Dare, and then directed right after that, a couple of years later, directed Kelly's Heroes. So that's the connection between those guys. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. Clint Eastwood, his character isn't as prominent throughout the movie as some of the other movies that he's been in, but
Right.
it's still, I just love this movie. I just really enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
Carol
It's a good
O'Connor is
movie.
in
It's
it
an
in a
awesome movie.
little part, but yeah, I think it's still a good movie. Is it as good as some of the others? But like I said, it's a personal favorite, and that's why I had to include it in this list. So
It's a good movie. My number 5 is Magnum Force. Again, we have a great cast in that. Great music. It starts off with the speech in the opening credits. You feel lucky, 44 Magnum. And Hal Holbrook.
Yes, Holbrook.
is in it. Back in his prime,
Mhm.
David Soul, who was a nobody at the time, Bob
Yeah,
Urich, who was a nobody at the time. They both became famous on TV later.
right.
Were
Playing
part of the
cops.
Magnum. They're part of the Magnum Force.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, well, they played like detective types. Yeah.
Detectives. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
David Soul was in
Starsky and Hutch,
Starsky and
and
Hutch.
what was the one that Urich did? The first one.
The Rookies.
Was he on the
Yeah.
Rookies?
Yeah.
Okay. All
I
right.
think
Okay.
so. Yeah. Of
But there was
course,
another
later
one.
on, he played oh,
Vegas,
Vegas.
something
Right.
like
That's the
that.
one that
Yeah.
really made him famous. Was Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot that he was part of the Rookies.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. Again, another really well written story. Um. Uh, uh, uh. Wonderful performances. It just kind of flows,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you see sides of Harry uh that are kind of intense because he realizes he's fighting other guys that are in the police force.
Right. Yeah. Is that the one with Tyne Daly?
And
No,
it's a
that's a later one.
conspiracy. No.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That was Enforcer. That was just a generic terrorist kind of guy taking the mayor and you know holding up in Alcatraz. By the way, another good movie, Escape from Alcatraz.
Hmm.
Patrick McGowan was the wonderful villain in that as the warden.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, okay, just deserved a mention. Magnum Force is great. It's up there on the top 5 of my list because it's the other Dirty Harry movie that's awesome.
Yeah. The first two really, really good, and yeah, and like you said, the second one really does expand on Harry's character. It's not just more of the same, which some of the other Harry movies kind of became that,
Right. The Deadpool
especially the
movie,
last two.
though, yeah, it's not the greatest. Does have one of the funniest car chase scenes in the history of films with the little remote controlled car with the bomb in it chasing after them on the streets of San Francisco. And they're trying to outdrive it. And they're jumping over the ramps, and then you see the little car go over. The
Yeah,
little car goes up on the sidewalk, and people are running out of the way to get out of the way of it. Little angry remote control car. It's a great scene. That deserves a mention.
yeah, yeah. It kind of it almost felt like it was it was a parody of the chase scene from Bullet,
Yeah,
that
well,
famous scene from
that too. Yeah,
yeah. So it just chase scenes in general. Like,
correct.
what are we gonna do different? How are we gonna make this different? Yeah, we just have a little car doing that.
It would be a little car,
Yeah,
a little dangerous car with plastic explosive in it.
yeah, yeah.
The
Okay.
villain was such a dud at the end of that. I mean, you have Liam Neeson in the thing as the director of the film who's being targeted,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and then you get this dud of a. And this was the problem with Sudden Impact too. The villains in that were just so uh, cardboard cutout villain types.
Yeah. Just
That just
generic. Very
yeah.
generic.
And again, Enforcer, same thing. It's just come on, give me
Yeah.
something. We had Andy Robinson for crying out loud. Come on,
Exactly. I mean, he set the
what is
bar.
this?
Right. And they just
Okay,
could
so I'm going to
never.
shoot him with a bazooka. Okay, I'm going to shoot this guy with a big harpoon. It's like, come on.
Yeah. It really. Yeah.
Even
It's
in
got.
Sudden Impact, he gets a gun that's like an 88 Magnum. It's bigger than a 44 Magnum. It shoots through schools. That's a line from Johnny Dangerously. Joe Piscopo has an 88 Magnum. It shoots through schools. Funny movie.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Uh,
So that's my number 5.
okay. Well, my number 5 is a movie again where Eastwood is, I think, playing a little bit against type and something really different for him. It's White Hunter, Black Heart,
Interesting.
where it's basically a fictionalized version of he's playing a movie director who's
Mm.
shooting a movie in Africa. Hint, hint. and
Yeah.
and his whole reason for going there, or one of his motives for going to Africa, is he wants to shoot an elephant. He's
Mm.
obsessed with shooting an elephant. But the character he plays is
This is based on John Huston.
based on John Huston.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, all the characters are based on real people.
Okay.
The character that Jeff Fahey plays is actually the writer. He wrote the book that the movie's based on, and again, it's a fictionalized version of the making of African Queen,
Mm.
which John Huston went to Africa to make. Whether or not he was actually obsessed with shooting an elephant is probably, that's the fiction part of it. And you have Marissa Berenson playing a sort of a version of Katharine Hepburn.
Katharine
You have
Hepburn.
this other,
Hepburn.
yeah, um, and you have an actor playing again a Humphrey Bogart type, who actually does the voice really well. And the thing about Eastwood, we talk about him not having much range. In this one, he actually tried to do a voice, a different kind of voice, and he was kind of doing well, not kind of doing. He was doing an impression of John
Huston.
Huston. And it's an interesting movie. I mean, it's really just an examination of, I almost call it what people call now, toxic masculinity, where he's like,
Mm.
so like, yes, you got to be a man, you got to go and shoot an elephant, and all this stuff. And you have Fahey's character, who's just sort of the writer, sort of dragged along on this adventure, and it's just, like I said, it's a little different from all these other movies that Eastwood does. It's not a Western. It's not Dirty Harry. He's
Mhm.
playing a real life character, or someone based on a real life person, and he's
Mm.
doing, at least he's trying. He's trying to do the voice, and but it's an intriguing cat cameo. It's
Take
it's
that.
kind of, so anyway, I just really, it's one of my favorite movies as well. But not to rank higher up. Um, and it was almost an honorable mention, but I thought, no, this is a really good movie, and it really, it's another movie that he directed.
I'll be
That
honest,
Eastwood
I haven't
directed.
seen it. I
Oh,
heard such bad reviews of it that I just
oh,
decided not
oh.
to watch it. And now that you said that, I'll have to go back and give it a look.
Yeah, no, you really, really,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think it's. I, I, I think, again, I think it's because it was so different from uh things that Eastwood had done. People were like, again, they were expecting Dirty Harry. They're expecting, the Man
Dirty
with No
Harry in
Name.
Africa.
Yeah, they're expecting Dirty Harry in Africa. He's gonna
The
take
good, the
on
bad, and
whatever.
the elephant.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, and instead, he's playing John Huston, basically.
I'm
Under a
gonna
different
shoot
name.
an elephant.
Yeah, but there's this great scene. He's in this very fancy hotel, and I guess the guy who, I don't know what he is. He's like one of the owners, I guess, or whatever, or somebody important at that hotel. And he keeps mistreating the staff, who are all these African, these natives. And Eastwood finally, he's just fed up with it, and he challenges this guy to a fight, and gets the tar beat out of him. He just gets wailed on by this guy who clearly is just this bigger man, but he has this speech afterwards. They take him to his room, and he's talking to Jeff Fahey, to his character, and said, "Yeah, I still feel pretty good about it. Sometimes you just gotta stand up for what you believe, and you gotta stand up for and be a man, and but I
Shoot
don't
elephants.
care. it's just great. It's just anyway. No, you watch it. Go ahead. Yeah, you should watch this movie. Just you know, I mean, I don't know if you'll like it or not,
I
but
will. I will give it a look for sure.
give it a look. You might like it. You might like it. So that was my
Okay,
number 5.
we come to honorable mentions.
Alrighty.
We've already talked about Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah.
We've already talked about The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. High Plains Drifter deserves a mention. As a Western, it is different.
Mm-hmm.
The character that Eastwood plays is basically kind of vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
They lead you to believe, and he goes as far as to paint the town red when the bad guys show up. They come to and rebrand it hell.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's an interesting. And then he systematically Rambo picks him off.
Right. Yeah.
Western style.
Yeah.
So it's again, Jeffrey Lewis is a great villain in it. He's got a lot of range as an actor. He does have a lot of range as a character actor.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And as Eastwood westerns go, it's definitely entertaining. So it definitely deserves a mention.
Yeah. All right. Well, one of my honorable mentions we actually mentioned earlier was Escape from Alcatraz.
Okay.
Where he actually again plays a real life character, slightly fictionalized, and it's about, I think it's if not one of the first successful escapes from Alcatraz, or that's
well, it's the one that shut Alcatraz down, I think.
Yeah.
When they realized that the building was just substandard, and he was able to dig through the walls pretty easily and find a way out.
Yeah. So yeah, great movie. And again, a great supporting cast as well. I'm still a little traumatized by the scene where the guy gets his fingers chopped off.
Now that happens because he painted a painting of the warden, right?
Yeah.
And it was not to the warden's liking.
Yeah.
It has this kind of weird look on his face.
Yeah.
Evil kind of look.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's one of my honorable mentions. Another one is we also talked about, Unforgiven is very high on my honorable mentions one. Like I said, it was almost my number 1, but
so many good movies, right?
But he made a lot of good movies. Yeah.
We mentioned Deadpool. We mentioned Bronco Billy, but I want to say that as Clint Eastwood directed that one, and it's probably the funniest thing he ever directed. It's a Clint Eastwood comedy, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think that he would be able to pull off comedy, but actually there are some really funny scenes in it. Sandra Locke actually does a good job playing a snooty, uppity character for comedy, and Jeffrey Lewis plays her husband, who's just really different from any other thing he's done. He's kind of got that Thurston Howell the Third kind of sound to him. Yeah. Oh dear, really? And then and William Prince is in it as a lawyer. He was also in The Gauntlet. And again, he cons Jeffrey Lewis into saying that he killed his wife when actually she's just disappeared, and he ends up going into a mental institution, which is funny. For the sake of the movie, it's funny, believe me. So yeah, I mean, it deserves a mention. It's a cute movie where every which way but can and any which way whatever failed. That went too far overboard, with Ruth the monkey.
Well, I gotta say, I did list Every Which Way But Loose. That's one of my honorable mentions.
Yikes.
Hey, there's no accounting for taste. But
right turn tonight.
I did, yeah, and
Philo Bennos.
Yeah, mainly for because I love the orangutan. I love Burt
Clyde
Gordon cussing like a sailor, and
shooting
and it's just
motorcycles with her shotgun.
yeah, it's yeah. I mean, you're right. It is incredibly stupid, incredibly, but I don't know. I don't know.
If you
Sometimes I
want
just
something to watch drunk, yeah, go ahead and plug it in.
yeah.
Do a 6-pack before you start it.
But yeah, but you're right. Bronco
Really
Billy
over
is
the
the better
top
movie.
silliness, yeah.
Yeah. And
And Gran
oh,
Torino.
huh?
Gran
Oh,
Torino.
Gran Torino is another one of my
Yeah.
yeah. That was oh man, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Just when you thought Clint Eastwood couldn't do another movie, he's too old. He finds a way. The Mule went too far.
Yeah,
2
I,
sex scenes. I mean,
I
seriously,
haven't
come on, Clint.
I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen the last one he did, Cry Macho. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
So yeah. I did, talking about westerns. I did like Two Mules for Sister Sarah. I thought that was
Yeah, we didn't mention that one. That's you're
yeah.
right. That's
With
interesting.
Shirley MacLaine was
Shirley
in that.
MacLaine
Yeah, that
plays
was
the fake sister.
Fake Sister. Yeah,
She did
turned
the
out to
same
be
thing in Cannonball Run too.
yeah. I forgot to mention uh, in Kelly's Heroes.
Mm.
Uh, there's a scene toward the end where they kind of parody the westerns. We see Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, and Donald Sutherland walking up the street to face off against this tank, this German tank, and they're playing this very westernish, good, bad, and the ugly type theme. They even have the sound of spurs jangling as even though they're wearing combat boots, but you hear the sound of spurs as they're walking up to the tank, and I thought that was I had to laugh. I thought
There
like
are 2 kinds of spurs, Blondie.
yeah. I thought that was silly, but it was funny. It was funny. That's right, Jonathan. But Ryan O'Neal is he has passed on, so yeah, we're not going to talk about Barry Lyndon anymore.
Barry Lyndon.
Or maybe we will. I don't know. So I just thought I'd mention that. But yeah, I mean, Eastwood's actually done a lot of good movies that we haven't mentioned. Somebody brought up the that was what I call my real outside the box one was Paint Your Wagon with Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin singing.
Yes. Yes, he can't sing. No.
Can't sing. Yeah.
Go ahead, make my day. That's a song, actually, believe it or not. Last call for alcohol. Go ahead, make my day.
Yeah.
But it's somebody else's song. He just does the make my day thing. Yeah, another one we didn't mention in any of our lists it was Bridges of Madison County, which was his love.
Yeah.
His
I was that was on my list for a while.
Valentine to female viewers, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We mentioned it when we talked about Meryl Streep. But yeah. I mean, again, it's one of those ones where he's playing against type, where he's not the macho,
Right.
rough guy. He's a photographer and all that. But yeah, he just didn't make my list for Eastwood.
Get to see that old codger standing in the rain.
Yeah.
Again, it was his Valentine to female viewers. He wanted to give them something, so he did like a little love story there.
I don't just play killers.
But no 44 Magnums in that movie at all.
Right.
What the hell? No C4, no grenades. What the hell?
I got a 45mm lens on my camera. Does that count? No,
You feel lucky.
do you feel lucky, Bridges? I get to fall in love with Meryl Streep. So there you go.
Live in a bathtub.
But yeah.
He speaks German to me.
And we didn't talk about Pink Cadillac. We didn't talk about
For good
Ridge,
reason.
Heartbreak Ridge. We didn't talk about $1 Million Baby. We didn't talk about.
Now that was depressing. Oh my god.
But that was really more
good performances, but man, was that depressing.
Yeah. What was the young lady's name?
Hilary Swank.
I think Hilary Swank. Yeah.
Hilary Swank.
That was really more her movie.
Yeah. And Morgan Freeman again.
And Morgan Freeman. But yeah, that was very depressing.
I didn't think much of her after she hit her head on the stool. Sorry. That was terrible.
That was terrible. Yeah.
Renee, was that terrible?
I can't even believe that you did that. That's a TikTok. I was just thinking, I was making a mental note. I was like, I've got to clip that. And then
but I didn't say the other thing.
It's so wrong, but it feels so right.
So Renee, so what was your favorite? So what's your favorite?
Yeah, I love it. I was surprised y'all didn't do more with Alcatraz. Everyone in the audience was talking about Alcatraz. Most people rank it really high. Why did you?
Yeah.
I mean, he was so.
Rated an honorable
It's a good movie. We talked about it. Yeah, we both liked it.
Did you guys not like it? What did you?
No, we both liked about it.
You both liked it. It just, it's not Dirty Harry. I know it's not.
Yeah,
it's on our honorable mention list.
Yeah, very high. It's first on my honorable mentions, as a matter of fact. So
okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I think
we're doing a top 10 list.
Yeah, top 20. It depends.
Top 20.
It's just
he's got a lot of good movies.
I forgot he was even in that because I just think of him with Marconi and I think of him as like a Western. That's like my thing now. But
exactly,
yeah, he was so good in that, and they never solved that case, so it's interesting. And there's all these documentaries about it. And I was fascinated. I think a lot of it too is like the subject matter. I always was interested in unsolved mysteries and stuff like that. And it's an unsolved mystery. They actually don't know. There's some evidence that these guys survived, and I thought it was funny too, because like it's true that they show in the movies, like he made this little fake face and they still have that like on display there. Yeah. Yeah, they actually still have that, but there's some evidence that they survived and were wiring money from like Mexico and stuff. Like there's some evidence. So it's kind of like a DB Cooper thing,
Right. Yeah,
I was just thinking the same thing. I was thinking DB Cooper when you said
very
that.
DB Cooper-esque. But I was thinking about it too when you guys were doing his impression. You're doing the Clint Eastwood, and it's kind of like that soft tone in a way where there's like suspense behind it. But like, how does he yell at his kids? Like, how does he yell like across the house, like turn that music down? He's got to go deep. He can't do that all the time. So
God,
I want to hear that. Like, I want to hear him being like, I'm on the phone. Like, shut up.
You're right. I don't think I've ever seen any movie where he yells.
He doesn't yell. Like he doesn't, but we know in his private life, like Michael Jackson used to pick up the phone at his residence and be like, hey, how are you? Michael Jackson had a normal, but then when he was being interviewed, it's like, hey, yeah, Michael. Yeah. So I know Clint can do it.
I would think if he yelled, it would probably be in one of the war movies. He would probably yell something.
Yeah. Gregory Gannon said, can he yell? We don't know if it's still out. The jury's still out. We don't know. We know that his son has some timing issue. It doesn't show up.
God, that was wrong. You shouldn't have done that.
So anyways, Alcatraz, that was like the one that like I really responded to, and I saw it.
No, it is a good movie. No,
there's and I saw a lot of people mentioning it. And then $1 Million
Baby Morton is just worth the price of admission alone. He's great in it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He plays a good villain.
So we're not trashing Alcatraz.
Okay,
it ranked.
A lot of people like that one.
Quite make the top 5. So
Okay, yeah, and he didn't say cut. He says that's enough of that shit.
It's funny. Yeah, I was watching an interview with or a clip of an interview with Morgan Freeman talking about working with Clint Eastwood. Somebody asked him, what was it like, or how was it like, or what was it like working with Eastwood? And he said, yeah, that it was probably one of the best experiences he ever had, and that his directorial, he said, well, he trusts actors, because he is an actor, and he just lets them do their job, and Clint, he doesn't say, roll. He says, all right, whenever you're ready. And he doesn't say cut. He just says,
all right,
that's enough of that.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Make my day.
Yeah, there's a lot of Tom Hanks interview bits too, where he says he treats his actors like horses.
That's hilarious.
And Matt Damon said the same thing. In fact, Damon was telling him again, talking to somebody, and he said, he asked Clint something about, well, do you think we can do that? Maybe do that again, do another take on that? And he supposedly said, really? Why do you want to waste everybody's time? Really just want to waste everybody's time? That's enough of that.
We got it.
That's enough. That's enough.
We're done. So I can see that. I can see that. Like,
that's very funny though.
Go ahead.
I love that.
Make my scene.
Make my scene.
Go ahead.
All right. So who are you guys doing next week? Do you have it determined yet?
Yes. Next week we're doing something completely different. We are going to talk about submarines. We're going to talk about movies set on submarines.
I thought you were going to say Monty Python. And now we're going to do something completely different.
We're doing something completely different. A Scotsman on a horse.
Idea.
Come on. There's only 2 good Monty Python movies.
Submarine films.
There's a bunch of them.
Right.
I just wanted to do something different other than actors, actresses, directors. I thought
topical.
Something
very
topical.
Good. I like that.
So yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. Renee just mentioned Das Boot, and there's so many other ones.
Rory looks like he's Clinting out. He's
Look at my face.
A face only a mother can love. Okay, so submarine movies. That's exciting.
Yeah. And yes, the Beatles' Yellow Submarine does count.
My mind already went. I was already inhabiting that land. I was
there.
Glove,
come here, Glove.
Meaning of life. Yes, JD. Yep. Meaning of life.
It's already like he's on Monty Python.
He wants a Monty Python.
Crimson Tide. Yep.
Roll Tide. Oh, wait a minute. It's a whole different
thing. No. As a UGA alum, I cannot sponsor.
No, you cannot.
No, we cannot. We cannot go there. Okay, so submarine next week.
Submarines. Long, hard, and full of semen.
Lots of semen next week. We'll get some eggs. We'll create new life. Hey.
I'm talking about submarines.
All right. What about the Russians are coming? The Russians aren't coming. No, there wasn't a sub. Yeah, there was a sub in that.
Of course there was.
There was a sub.
The Russians are coming. The Russians. Alan Arkin.
But he's talking about movies where the action takes place on the submarine, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right. You can't just have a submarine somewhere in the back. You can't just have
exactly.
You can't just have a poster or something.
Otherwise, we'd be talking about 1941. Oh no, we wouldn't.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that when we talked about Spielberg. We're not talking about it now.
That's true.
But it was Christopher Lee on the submarine.
That was
all right, guys. Great show. Thank you to everyone who tunes in on the replay as well. So get your comments in. Stalk and follow us on all the apps and all the platforms. And do this. Do a lot of squinting, but you could get a migraine if you do it too much. So
what the hell?
That's it. What did he say when he says instead of cut? What does he say? That's enough.
That's all right.
Enough of that.
That's enough.
Enough of that. Just enough of that. Yeah.
All righty.
All right.
See y'all next. Thanks for watching this episode of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal Talking About Movies. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to get future episodes.